I'm gonna skip most of the intro BS and just go straight into it. This is a great sword guide for Monster Hunter Wilds. You don't want the BS anyway. You're here to learn how to play great swords. So we're gonna start with kind of the basics, the bread and butter, the information that you need to know, and then weapons, weapon skills, armor and armor skills, and decorations at the end. Other than that, let's jump in. Starting out simple, the YYY combo, also known as charge slash into strong charge slash into true charge slash. This is pretty simple, again, bread and butter combo. Next up, same thing, but the true charge slash going to a level 3 charge, which just increases the damage. You do want to release on the moment that you hit the 3rd charge, as it will give you a better motion value, giving you better damage. Next, we have the full true charge slash combo, all with level 3 charges. Again, this will result in more damage, but is pretty situational. So with a greatsword, you can draw directly into a guard. This, you can follow up with a kick and then an attack. So here's a variation of the true charge slash where you're essentially skipping all the charge stages and the strong and regular charge slashes to go directly into a true charge slash. Finally, I'll show you them all 4 side by side, so that way you get an idea of how long each combo takes and general idea of when you would want to use them. Next, the hit and run style of greatsword play, where you're abusing critical draw to essentially maintain 100% affinity on draw attacks. First, I'll show you a incorrect way of doing it, and then I'm going to explain why. So the reason why that's incorrect is because the second hit does not have the affinity buff. Critical draw starts a 3-second timer when you first hit an enemy with a draw attack. You can go directly into a charge, so that way the level 3 initial charge attack has 100% affinity, and then you can do the follow-up attack at just the level 2 charge, and it will still maintain that affinity buff. Next, we're going to talk about guarding, which is something they kind of changed in Wilds. I'm going to show a imperfect guard, then a guard that's not a perfect guard but will activate offensive guard, and then a perfect guard, and then I'll show the perfect guard again. Pay attention to the stamina differences, and then also the sound that the perfect guard makes, so that way you know if it's a perfect guard. But the easiest way to understand if it's a perfect guard is how far you get knocked back. A perfect guard will have no knockback. Lastly, as far as greatsword moves go, they added new offset attacks in Wilds. So offset attacks essentially act as a counter for the greatsword. However, the interesting thing is it's not automatically triggered. You have to be in the attacking or the upswing animation in order for it to actually count. Otherwise, you will simply get hit, and I will show this. Now we get to talk about weapons. For weapons, I recommend the ore tree, the Quematrice tree, and a few others. Basically, you're looking for critical draw or punishing draw. Once you get into the late game, you're going to go for decorations of both and probably slot both on there. But those are the trees that early on you're going to have access to. The ore tree is good all the way into endgame. Another thing I'll mention here is about focus. In the past, especially in Monster Hunter World, focus was a pretty good skill to have. I think now that it's been moved to a weapon skill makes it less valuable, and I found myself, whenever I was running it, having trouble perfectly timing the level 3 charge on the true charge slash, which is a great big problem for the great sword. It really needs that in order to get those really meaty hits, and without that it kind of fell flat. So I actually opted to get rid of focus. That's why I'm recommending punishing draw, is that's a little bit better. But truthfully, this skill I would slot in there instead, or find a great sword that has instead, is offensive guard, especially with the changes to guarding, consuming way less stamina, and generally not impacting your sharpness as much, especially on a perfect guard. It just makes more sense. Armor. Starting off, there's really not a whole lot to go for. Once you get towards the end of low rank, there's significantly more things that have Heartbreaker or other useful skills. There's Flare, Divine Blessing, Recovery Up isn't bad, Stun Resistance is okay. But really not a whole lot helps. I would recommend Speed Eating once you get there, as I think it's significantly better than in previous titles. But the main skill you want to go for is Quick Sheath. That enables you to put away your weapon faster, which allows you to reset for critical draw and punishing draw. And so it's just really helpful. Yeah, Speed Eating, Quick Sheath is most of the things I'd go for. As far as high rank goes, we get access to a few more things. Counter Strike becomes a little bit more available, just more easy access to earplugs, Speed Eating, Quick Sheath, you name it, you get more access to it. So the skills generally stay the same. It's just a little bit easier to get higher levels of them. I would recommend Flare and Counter Strike as good safety net skills for the average player, because truthfully a lot of the guides out there will say, oh, you need to have, you know, all these fancy skills and stack all this damage, but in reality you don't really need that. Plus, a lot of those builds bank on you not getting hit or not consuming stamina, which just doesn't sit right with me, especially when offensive guard is so powerful but consumes stamina by blocking and will also chip your health. So Resentment is another skill that can be used and slotted. I would rather build or show you builds that are applicable from early all the way to endgame instead of just showing you an endgame build. Lastly, decorations. Generally, especially once you get to the endgame, you're going to want critical draw as high as you can get it. Level 3 offers 100% affinity on draw attacks. Things like a Gambit KO Jewel can be nice. I would actually slot a critical boost or critical boost 3 instead. I just didn't have one. I also ended up getting the critical draw 3 jewel after I recorded this. As you can see, the change in armor set looks. The Guardian Handicraft jewel is insane, but other armor jewels maintenance is really good because of how long the mantle recharge timers are in this game compared to World. Maintenance is now worth slotting. Shockproof is nice, physique is nice as it reduces the stamina drain from blocking, but also you can do counter and some other things. I actually ended up completely changing the armor set that I had almost top to bottom, and it now has significantly more like flare and some other things. So the skills basically are what I said in the armor and weapons section. You want critical draw, you want maybe a little bit of speed eating, offensive guard is good, heartbreaker, so on and so forth. You can totally pause the video here and then just look at the skills. That'll help you start to get an idea of what you're going for. And that about does it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned some stuff or pick up greatsword in the future. I'd always appreciate more greatsword mains out there. It's a really fun weapon, and hope you enjoy. Thanks.